I hope to see you guys on tour this fall. Classic Climb Tour, Atlanta, August 21st. DC, August 28th. Lots of great speakers, lots of great opportunities to build a brand that you love, like, trust, getting up every day, checking on. See you on tour.
So here's, and part of my argument with people I try to say is, you have people from New York who moved to Atlanta 20 years ago, and you ask them, okay, hey, oh, the price is going up. I'd be like, oh, where you bought your house? They ain't bought no house.
Yeah.
They moved over 20 years ago to a city after they just experienced having to get out of another city because of cost of living, and they didn't learn anything. They didn't learn anything. They didn't purchase anything. I wouldn't buy that for that price now. And a lot of times you think it's people who've lived there their whole life. No, sometimes it's people who relocate there and go, well, one day I might move back. I might
Yeah.
go back to New York. I might go back. So I'm trying to be loose and free. And it's like they never put any roots down. They never really invest themselves. And it gets dangerous because what we have now is we have the children. And I know people get mad at me because they say, oh, you're blaming New York and New Jersey. It's not us, but it is. We have these children who are here. Parents are frustrated. They don't have a lot of job opportunities. They got these kids outside selling water. People say, oh, no, the kids want to do it. No, they don't. These kids don't want to be outside in 100-degree weather selling water. This isn't a choice. Now, the city wants to invest $70 million. And this is just the city. This isn't even the government. I don't know if you guys noticed today, the notice came out that they're going to hold a special session with Georgia's Congress to even locate more money.
Yeah.
Now, if you know anything about Georgia, and I'm just going to go there, it's one of them southern states where Atlanta is wonderful. It's modern. It's new. It's enjoyable. You go outside of some parts of Georgia and you like, what is happening? And why is this cop following me through the whole town?
Yeah.
As I go over to Georgia, Florida line. What's happening? You have some backward ways out there, right? So if they're going to recruit this money to bring more police, double down on traffic stops, double down on basically pat down, New York, stop frisk, what happens to that city? Massive concentration. Massive concentration. Incarceration's been down. Black teen pregnancy has been down, all-time lows. Black teen graduation, high school graduation is up. So the narrative that, oh man, these black people, they just out of control, that's been over for the past 10 years.
Yep.
Right now, recently, the past 5 years, white women going to federal prison has been up 50%. Past 5 years. Why? Drugs. Poor people crimes. Trafficking pills from Florida to middle nowheres. Getting caught up. So that is there, right? That potential if you start doubly policing these people for, hey, you didn't have your license plate updated. Hey, your driver's license isn't updated. Hey, you had this citation, you didn't pay it. Hey, you had this parking ticket, didn't pay it. What is that going to do for that city?
Yeah, I mean, and what you're seeing is that for a lot of people that are in Atlanta that are living like what I call on the fringes, they're going to get policed really, really heavily. And a lot of the things that people were getting away with, they're not going to get away with anymore. And, we were talking about before that we believe that they're going to roll out another mass incarceration blitz. And I think that this is something that you're going to see all over the country, to where anytime they want to really, really start sweeping the area, they start doing a lot of gentrification. What you're also going to see with Atlanta is a lot of federal cases, a lot of state RICO cases are going to start coming out for particular areas. So I used to be in an area in Atlanta called Summer Hill that was kind of close to the old Braves Stadium. They want to clean out these type of areas that are close to downtown, that they can utilize, that are really, really can be very profitable areas from a real estate and a land development problem. And so what we're seeing, and I tell people this all the time, is that when you live in a particular area and you don't have a lot of power, and you're allowed to live there, is because the people in power don't see that your area is desirable. Once they believe that your area is desirable, they're going to use their power to get you out of that particular area. And so what we're doing is, and this is something that Mixed Hand is talking about, is going to era in a new era of a lot of really heavy, to me, overarching or kind of, I would say, overdone policing. But they're going to utilize that just to get their numbers up, to get people off the street that they feel are not productive and are not contributing. So we can clear a lot of areas out, so we can now usher in this new change of bringing in people that can actually pay us what we want for this property.
For sure. And one of my biggest things I tell people, I'm like, if Atlanta just invested in a regional, or the state of Georgia, invested in a regional mental health hospital, and swept the streets, let's just go there, swept the streets of the homeless that are endangering themselves and others, you see an overnight change. I mean, you'd have create jobs, you create opportunities, all kind of stuff out of that. but they're not interested in that, right? They're interested in the lock 'em up theory. So my biggest thing about Atlanta is, I'm trying to be careful. If you're advocating for tech to come to your city,
Mhm.
you're advocating for people to leave where? New York, leave northern states, leave California to come fill those jobs when those jobs could be filled with the people that are already there.
Yeah.
The pivot should be, how do we get more young black men in tech? How do we get more black women in tech? We shouldn't have, and unfortunately, there's a whole show I just saw the other day. Someone showed it to me where they're like talking about strippers in Atlanta, like we're the number 2 stripper state, and da da da. And it's like, you shouldn't even be doing a show on that. There shouldn't be a show going, look at us, we have made it. We are number 1 for stripping places. And it's like, as much as you want to promote Atlanta on the up and up, you have the what's his name, Cam Newton smoke cigar place. You have these
Yeah.
high-end restaurants. You have these really nice places. It's almost this love and attraction for that Ti, Shorty Low, and all them people. That old Atlanta, that freaknik Atlanta, that is no longer there. It's just no longer there.
Yeah, definitely. And what it was that you really had, and this is something I try to get people to understand, is that when you go to Atlanta, a lot of the quote unquote Atlanta celebrities, they never lived inside the city because it was too expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So if you wanted to actually live inside the perimeter, but live in a really nice area, it was really, really expensive. So they were really living way out of the perimeter, out in the suburbs. Mm-hmm. And so even though they was quote unquote the face of Atlanta, they didn't even really live in Atlanta because it was really so expensive to actually live inside the city. What they're trying to do now is kind of expand that. So what they want is more areas actually inside the perimeter that are going to be acceptable places to live, where historically those places was lower income areas. They're just going to get those people out of those particular areas. And you're right, they could develop the people that are there, but when those particular people don't have the political power, they don't have the economic power, they get left out of that particular development issue because it's going to take money to develop them. They get left out of the conversation. And so we would rather put money into policing to incarcerate them as opposed to trying to develop them and utilize them because we already have the talent pool. We would rather bring people in from up north or maybe the West Coast or maybe even sometimes overseas.
Mm-hmm. And I was going to show y'all this map because I know y'all be like, where are you getting this data from? I always get the data from the I know how it can be. Okay, so here we go. Here's the map that I was talking about right here. And so not even trying to be funny, because people are like, oh, Erica, how can it be profitable to lock up people? It actually is quite profitable. Right now, there are no, what do you call them, payphones on the corners anymore, because we have all cell phones, right? Payphones in prisons make on average like $100,000 to $300,000 a year. One payphone, because they're getting that money from where? The family that wants to speak to their loved one.
Exactly.
Well, now the prisons in North Carolina, because of the pandemic, are doing a laptop like Zoom call thing, and they're going to charge you 3 cents a minute. Eventually, that thing's going to go up to $1 a minute. I know it's coming. And you have a combination of factors. You have cheap labor. Lots of these companies are utilizing prison labor, wouldn't hire these people outside. Then you also have them milking poor families for phones and services and gift bags and all that good stuff. And then when they come out, you have a probation system that does the same thing, right? People paying restitution for crimes. Now, why am I calling things poor man crimes? Now, what do I call poor man crimes? On average, just to give y'all, not to be too negative, but on average, a murderer gets 6 to 10 years. That's it. You murder somebody on average, that's the national average, 6 to 10 years. If you murder your wife in anger, on average, it's 5 years. It's not even, you don't even do 10 years. A woman on the reverse, though, she murders her husband, on average gets about 18 years. When you talk about drugs, you talk about robberies, you talk about crimes, breaking into vehicles, breaking into homes, bank robberies, it's an automatic 15 to 20.
Yeah.
And so I call them poor man crimes because you usually swipe up someone who's in their youth, 15 to 25, and then you put them away for 20 years, and they come out in their 40s with what skills?
Yep.
What opportunities? And so my thing is, I really am also like, stop glorifying this, because it gets amazingly silly to me, right? And we're also in a kind of area where, do you know where Vine City is? I know you do, but do you know where Vine City is?
Where's that at?
It's on the other side of that Georgia University. That's downtown. It's like you have Midtown and you go across a little bit. They just built up a thing called the Interlock. Let me see if I can pull that up.
Okay.
But Vine City, anybody in chat know what they're talking about? Vine City, put it in the chat, because it looks like, woo. It's basically over there by that stadium.
Okay.
And so if you, and this is the nice pictures probably they're going to show you. Here it is. There we go. Everybody see the Vine City? See, there's the line, North Side Drive, Northwest.
Okay, y'all know that, sir.
Yeah, Clark Atlanta University, other side of it. Yeah. So you got the Rodney Cook Senior Park, Historic Park. So in that little square, Mercedes Benz, you know, is to the right or whatever. In that little square, this area is the next to be completely cleared out.
Yeah.
It has nowhere to go. Like I see some neighbors, some spots here and there where they're cleaning stuff out, but they literally will have to do a massive clean out of this area. If anybody knows what I'm talking about. And another area is the Interlock. If you go look up the Belly Yard